with a legend talking about an appearance at WrestleMania and more. This is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. In Berlin, Germany, ahead of WWE's premium live event there, CM Punk could be seen greeting fans at the kickoff show. The host of college football Overtime, Denton Day, showed himself taking a chop from AEW TBS champion Mercedes Moné.
You ready?
No, but yes.
It's already red.
All right. Oh! I hope that hurt you as much.
Who said one more?
You
ready?
Like more, you were gonna do this.
Oh, wait, it's because it's too hairy.
That is not fake.
Opening up on her thoughts regarding leaving the pro wrestling business, Maria Kanellis mentioned this to Gabby AF. When we, myself and Mike Bennett, got split up, it was difficult on our marriage. This was probably the hardest year of our marriage. We're good now, but at first it was really difficult. It's a blessing now. When we were first going through it, I was pissed. It's being competitive and wanting to be successful and wanting to be on the main show and wanting to show what you got and do what you were made to do, and so that makes it tough then. Plus on top of that, he's my best friend, so I wasn't seeing my best friend, so yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know what's gonna happen. I know that things are coming up at the beginning of November. There's an option, but we'll see what happens. For me, it's about still being able to have a purpose and feel like you're contributing, and wherever I can do that, that's where I want to do it. I want to work for my money. I don't want to not work for a paycheck. I want to work for a paycheck, and I've always felt that way. Even when I was on maternity leave, I was like, I got to get back to work. I got to get back to work because I just want to contribute, and that's who I've always been. That's how I was raised. I had my first job when I was 12 years old, and so wherever it is, that's going to be an opportunity to really make an impact and to be able to work and help people. That's where I want to be. I love what AEW is about. That's why I loved Ring of Honor after I was out of WWE, and that was because I think it is the greatest wrestling in the world. I think AEW is the greatest wrestling in the world. I think that Tony Khan is probably the very best at putting together pay-per-views that I've ever seen in my life. The pay-per-views, every single one of them is a banger. Every one of them I'm excited to see, I'm excited to watch, and I think that the idea of a company that is the underdog that is able to make such a huge impact in the wrestling industry, I can get behind that for sure. But it's also, do I fit? And there have been tons of changes. WWE has done so much change in the last few years, and I'm excited to see where it goes from there. The opportunities that the women are getting, I'm just so happy to be seeing those things. I think that what Impact or TNA is doing right now, I think that is really cool, and the way that they're starting to sell out more and more arenas and bigger places. I think that there's just so much momentum out there in the wrestling world, and I go at this point, I don't feel one way or another way about any companies. I just feel like everybody in this industry needs to find out where they best fit and where is the best for their family. Whatever comes down the pipe, whether it is staying at AEW or leaving wrestling completely, whatever it is, I know it's how it's supposed to be. It's just a matter of surrendering, and sometimes I just want to fight it on. I just talked about this recently. This past year has been just awful. I mean, yes, also great in some ways, but then awful in others. But I've been home by myself without Mike Bennett a ton, and so we were put on two different shows. We were on completely opposite schedules for the longest time. He's in London right now for a week, and I'm not, and so it's like I've got that going on in my career where I'm feeling feeling very unfulfilled and wanting to do more, and I'm used to fighting for and doing so much more, especially in the last several years of my career before I got to AEW, and then on top of it, now I've got these health issues, and it starts to make you feel very much like, what's my purpose? Is there a sign here? Is wrestling and this portion of my career coming to a close? Or do I need to start looking at it in a different way, and do I need to start, going somewhere else, doing something else? But there's all these things that are happening in my life, and when your health comes into question, and then all you can think about is like, am I living my best life? So if something terrible were to happen, would I be proud of the things that I'm doing right now in my life, as far as my kids, and of course my family and my marriage? All of that is wonderful, and I feel like that's really great, but then what is my purpose in my career? And right now, I think that's kind of gotten lost, and I find and I try to do more and more. But it's also when timing meets opportunity, and it's where do you belong? So mentally, that makes it really tough. But it also gives you a sense of clarity of like, okay, I know I'm not happy with where my career is right now, and whether that means in wrestling or just it's time to move on and do something else, I'm not sure. As far as wrestling goes, I don't feel unfulfilled at all in the ring. In the ring stuff, me wrestling, I did it, and my very last match was at WrestleMania, and I could feel it. I got about halfway down the ramp, and I go, this isn't it. This isn't it at all. I just knew I was done with wrestling myself. Do I think there's things in the business of wrestling that I could contribute? Of course. I hate when people feel as if they're not getting heard in this industry. There's been so many more opportunities for women, and I think that women, they're the strongest in any division in any company right now. I think they just have so much to tell, such a brilliant story to tell. The business of wrestling, I think, could run smoother. I think that there's ways that we could help our talent and help both male and female. I think there are things that definitely could be put into place that could help wrestlers lead longer, happier, healthier careers, and so there's a part of me that feels like maybe I should fight for that, and maybe I've been fighting for that a bit in my own way. But if I had to walk away, there's other things that are getting put into place right now that I feel confident will be beneficial eventually anyways. So sometimes the universe tells you it's time to move on, and I don't know if now is the time, but sometimes I feel like it's tried to say, okay, maybe try something else for a little while. Touching on her plans to release an album, AEW TBS champion Mercedes Moné said this to TMZ Sports: "I've been busier than ever, so Hollywood is definitely in the pursuit, along with makeup, music, still doing music every single day, trying to get an album to come out, going to be producing something in December." Asked about his relationship with CM Punk, Kevin Owens said this to Mail Sport: "Well, CM Punk and I never talk. We have no reason to talk. We're not friends. We're just not. I don't know. We have no reason to talk. If we work together, we will talk, but just not a thing we do." Addressing the idea that AEW's ratings decline has to do with the success of WWE, Booker T noted on his Hall of Fame podcast, "I can say it once, I can say it 1,000 times, but it's about creating stars. I think it's about creating a show. I think that's why NXT is so good right now, because it's a really, really damn good show. The guys play their roles, and they play their roles very, very well. You got so many guys in AEW that can play their roles, no doubt about it, but without that story, without that feel, it feels like you're missing something. I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. I don't think it has anything to do with WWE. I really don't think it has anything to do with WWE, why they're not clicking on all cylinders. I think their last show did like 600,000 and some odd K number, but that right there is not a big number at all for that show. That show is doing bigger numbers, and the numbers are falling off, just to let you know that the fans even feel like they're not doing something to keep them motivated, to keep their attention, to keep them on that AEW ride, to keep that number up on a weekly basis. So it's something that they got to change, and I feel like there again, the show needs to be reformulated. You need more help. The president of TKO Group Holdings, Mark Shapiro, was asked if it was easy to make a deal for Raw to go to Netflix, as he told the Main Event, "No, I don't think they're jumping into any time quick." Shapiro responded to the question of if he thinks Netflix will bring more live sports into their portfolio, and I will tell you, this WWE on Netflix wasn't an easy deal. Ted Sarandos is amazing and just an incredible track record of success and frankly driving change in the business along with Reed Hastings, and Bella Bajaria has just completely reorganized the content team there, showing the willingness to take chances and big swings and not afraid of risks, and has a $17 billion budget behind her, so they're in it. If they think there's something out there premium that's going to bring in subs and keep subs and allow them to raise prices and sell advertising, they'll jump in. So in that respect, if sports is going to do it at a reasonable price, they'll do it. But there's no behind the scenes strategy. Wink wink. We're getting into WWE, which is close to sports, and then we'll get some NFL games, and then we'll really open up the floodgates. It took them a lot of convincing by Bella and Ari Emanuel and me to Ted directly and Spencer Newman, the CFO, to get them all in on the WWE, and then they took a shot. But guess what? They drove a hard bargain. They were terrific negotiators. The devil's in the details, and there are a lot of details, and they held their ground, and I think they got a great deal for themselves as well. For more information on former WWE employee Janelle Grant suing the company, Vince McMahon, and John Laurinaitis for sex trafficking, Ringside News wrote that Janelle Grant sought records for Dr. Carlin Kolker, a wellness doctor involved in her case. Although McMahon attempted to block this request, a judge denied his effort. Dr. Kolker has denied any wrongdoing in his treatment of Grant. In response, Grant filed a motion to strike Dr. Kolker's bill of discovery. Now, Dr. Kolker's attorneys have filed a motion to dismiss Grant's petition to obtain evidence as part of her ongoing federal lawsuit against Vince McMahon and WWE. Janelle Grant previously filed a pre-action discovery petition to obtain records from Dr. Carlin Kolker and his clinic, Peak Wellness, Inc. She alleges that in November 2019, under Vince McMahon's direction, she received undisclosed treatments at the clinic, including pills and IV infusions. When she questioned these substances, Dr. Kolker allegedly challenged her trust in him. In response, Dr. Kolker filed a complaint against Grant, denying her allegations and calling them a smear campaign. He claims these accusations have severely damaged his reputation, estimating the harm at tens of millions of dollars. Dr. Kolker is seeking documentation to disprove Grant's claims and also aims to depose her. As a countermeasure, Grant filed a motion in Connecticut's Superior Court to strike Kolker's complaint and dismiss his bill of discovery. She's also seeking statutory sanctions, costs, and attorney fees against Kolker and Peak Wellness. Grant's legal team argues that Kolker's actions are intended to intimidate her and infringe on her First Amendment rights, describing his complaint as baseless and an effort to hinder her investigation into her medical treatment. Brandon Thurston reports that Dr. Carlin Kolker's attorneys have filed a motion to dismiss Janelle Grant's request to obtain evidence, including medical records, related to her federal lawsuit against Vince McMahon and WWE. The lawsuit is currently on hold due to a federal investigation. Kolker's lawyers argue that Grant's petition isn't a legitimate request for discovery, but rather an attempt to bypass the pause in her federal case. They contend that the petition filed in Connecticut State Court should be dismissed because Grant isn't pursuing a lawsuit against Kolker in state court. Instead, they believe Grant is considering adding Kolker as a defendant in her federal case against McMahon, WWE, and John Laurinaitis, or filing a new federal lawsuit. Additionally, Kolker's attorneys argue that the petition is legally flawed for technical reasons. This is not a petition for a bill of discovery, as it purports to be, Kolker's lawyers write. It is a wish list for this court's assistance in evading a stay that has been entering Grant's federal action. Judge Jeffrey Mayer also ruled against McMahon's attempt to block the petition for these records, and Vince McMahon's attorney has already released a statement regarding the denial. It appears a former WWE faction could be reforming in AEW, as the Wrestling Observer newsletter wrote that a lot of people think Bobby Lashley, MVP, and Shelton Benjamin reviving their Hurt Business gimmick as the Hurt Syndicate will end up in AEW. They are all free to appear, and it comes down to Tony Khan. Talk about the possibility of facing Rhea Ripley in a singles match. Dominic Mysterio said this to Gorilla Position. I'm here for it. Would you do it? Yeah. I mean, let's just leave it at that. She'd have to destroy you. Yeah, no. I came out my mother's womb and dropkicked the doctor. What do you think I'd be willing to do as a 27-year-old? Mentioning WWE's perspective on AEW star Daniel Garcia supposedly re-signing with AEW, the Wrestling Observer newsletter noted the deal and the offer to Daniel Garcia were told to us by someone on the WWE side for Garcia and more than one on Strickland as being bad for the sport because they are so far over what would WWE would perceive the market value for both to be, with the idea he's spending more than he needs to and raising salaries. One has to think bringing him back is the indication he's staying. Those in WWE seem to believe that. When the angle was done, several close to the situation noted that they expected him to stay, but he had considered WWE, which was trying to recruit him. Revealing how his photo with Jack Perry came together, Drew McIntyre said this to Gorilla Position. On the same flight, he was just right in front of me. I had a chat with him. Lovely lad. His girlfriend's really nice. We were flying to LA and I just said, hey, we should take a picture together. We're both wrestlers. I'll put it on the internet, give you a little rub, and people reacted crazy. Recalling his return to the ring at WrestleMania 2 years ago, Stone Cold Steve Austin said this to Fox News Digital. But to get in there, put trunks on, and to try and be the guy that I once was, I did that 2 years ago and tried to do something, but I never had a ring to practice in. Hulk Hogan hit it right on the head where he goes, well, he's not calloused up. His body isn't going to be ready for what he feels. Undertaker hit it right on the head when he said his timing was not going to be there, which it wasn't because I didn't have any timing. Triple H hit it right on the head where he goes, you never go out there, you never know what you're going to go out there with because you don't know what you have. You haven't been in a ring in 20 years, and I didn't know what I had. But there's so much going on. They got such a stacked roster with so many great superstars these days that they're not going to have any problem filling 2 nights of entertainment. But if I got out there and be a part of it on one hand and do something positive that works for the company and works for what they want to do and it satisfied a crowd, I'd be happy to. With Nikki Bella's husband recently arrested in Napa County over a domestic violence incident, Nikki had made a post the day prior that showed off that she was in the area. Now, Ringside News has said that Artem Chigvintsev, well known for his time on Dancing with the Stars and his marriage to former WWE superstar Nikki Bella, was recently arrested on charges of domestic battery. Following the incident, Nikki Bella has requested privacy for herself and her family as they navigate this challenging time. The situation began with a 911 call reporting a medical emergency at Chigvintsev's home around 8:30 a.m. Although a second call canceled the emergency request, the Napa County Sheriff's Office responded to the scene by 10 a.m. after the situation escalated. Officers confirmed visible injuries and subsequently arrested Chigvintsev on charges of felony corporal injury to a spouse or cohabitant. He was taken into custody and booked into the Napa County Jail with bail set at $25,000. Chigvintsev has since been released from custody, and the domestic assault victim is reportedly cooperating with the police. According to a report by TMZ, a representative for Nikki Bella, now known as Nikki Garcia, stated that the situation is a private matter and emphasized Nikki's request for privacy during this time. This is a private matter, and Nikki asks for privacy for her and her family at this time. This situation has led to various developments, including Nikki Bella's brother-in-law, Brian Danielson, unfollowing Chigvintsev on social media. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.